Welcome to the Daily History Podcast, where we peel back the layers of time to uncover the most captivating stories of our past. Today, we're delving into one of history's most controversial institutions, the Spanish Inquisition. Join us as we explore the confluence of faith, fear, and power that has captivated scholars and history enthusiasts alike. In the late 15th century, a shadow loomed over Spain, one wrought from the fervor of religious orthodoxy. This was a time when the fabric of Spanish society was being woven tightly around the principles of Catholic faith, laying the rigorously enforced groundwork for the Spanish Inquisition, which formally began in 1478. It was under the joint reign of Ferdinand II of Aragon and Isabella I of Castile that this severe apparatus took root. Together, these monarchs sought to unite their kingdoms not only through political alliances, but also through a homogeneous religious identity. The claim was clear: to purify the practice of Christianity within their realms. Their royal decree found favor with the Vatican, and the establishment of the Inquisition aimed at preserving Catholic doctrine by scrutinizing the authenticity of the faith professed by the converted, especially those from Jewish and Muslim backgrounds. As we delve into the tangled tapestry of history, it's imperative to look closely at the driving forces behind the Spanish Inquisition. Politically, the Inquisition was an instrument of monarchical authority, one that King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella used to not just reinforce their power, but to secure a homogeneous realm under the guise of religious unity. It was 1478 when the Catholic monarchs established the Inquisition to root out heresy among their subjects, shaping the social fabric into one that conformed strictly to the Catholic orthodoxy. Amidst the turbulence of the times, the merging of church and state interests painted a stark landscape of control and surveillance over Spain's diverse populace. The Reconquista had concluded just 6 years prior, bringing the entire Iberian Peninsula under Christian rule after centuries of Muslim presence. In this newfound Christian kingdom, the Inquisition became a bulwark against perceived threats to its purity, which often pitted neighbor against neighbor under the ever-watchful eyes of royal inquisitors. It wasn't simply about faith. The consolidation of Christian rule through the Inquisition was as much about reigning in social disorder as it was about purging religious deviance. Those who didn't align with the Catholic vision were seen as obstacles to the unity and stability of the state. This period is marked by a crescendo of tension between the crown and various groups within its domain, particularly the Jewish and Muslim populations, who increasingly found themselves the focus of the Inquisition's scrutiny. The blend of religious fervor with the desire to centralize authority made the Spanish Inquisition a formidable force in the lives of every Spaniard. It was a tool of governance that sought absolute control and used faith as its justification. The aftermath of the Reconquista meant that for Ferdinand and Isabella, the Inquisition was a necessary step toward imposing religious conformity. In essence, it laid the groundwork for an empire that viewed itself as divinely sanctioned and unassailable, echoing through the annals of history long after its flames were extinguished. Within the shadowed halls of power, the Spanish Inquisition unveiled its fearsome methods, a striking blend of religious fervor and judicial authority intended to identify and punish heresy. At the heart of this process stood the tribunals, where the fate of the accused was decided. Tribunals were established in major Spanish cities, each led by inquisitors who held the power to investigate suspected heretics. To assist in their monumental task, they created the Index of Prohibited Books in 1559, a catalog of works banned for their dangerous ideas, which threatened the fabric of Catholic orthodoxy and thus the control the Church sought to maintain. Accusations could arise from a variety of sources, but the role of informants was particularly notorious. Ordinary individuals, often motivated by personal vendettas or promises of absolution, would relay suspicions to the authorities. Once named, the accused faced the daunting Inquisition process, with charges ranging from practicing Judaism or Islam in secret to criticizing the clergy or attending forbidden religious ceremonies. The Inquisition adopted many forms of psychological pressure and physical torture to extract confessions, methods which became synonymous with its name. Devices such as the rack or strappado inflicted unbearable pain as a means to coerce admissions of guilt, confessions that would often be recanted outside the torturous confines of the inquisitorial chambers. Then there was the auto da fe, or act of faith, a public spectacle where the condemned were paraded before the populace, their sentences read aloud, ranging from penance to execution. These acts served as both punishment and deterrent, a brutal display of the consequences awaiting those who strayed from the path deemed acceptable by the church and crown. Through these orchestrated mechanisms, fear and obedience were instilled in society, cementing the Spanish Inquisition as a symbol of absolute power, its legacy a haunting reminder of the cost of dogma unconstrained by conscience. The Inquisition's repercussions were far-reaching, but its effect on the Jewish and Muslim communities was particularly severe. Under the shadow of the Inquisition, both groups faced unimaginable pressures, resulting in forced conversions and the fear of persecution becoming a daily reality. Despite conversion, many of these new Christians, or conversos, were still suspected of secretly practicing their old faiths. Let's delve into the lives affected by the Inquisition. Accounts from the period paint a picture of a society gripped by fear. One such personal narrative comes from a Jewish man named Isaac de Castro Tartas, who was sentenced to death in Lisbon in 1647. His refusal to renounce his faith, even under threat of execution, leaves an indelible mark on the chronicles of the Inquisition. Notable figures were also ensnared by the Inquisition's reach. For instance, Bartolomé de Carranza, a prominent archbishop, was imprisoned for nearly 17 years before being found guilty of heresy. Despite his high standing, Carranza's ordeal showcased the Inquisition's uncompromising grip on Spanish society. Others, like the poet Luis de Góngora, faced accusations due to gossip and envy, illustrating how the Inquisition became a tool for settling personal scores. While these accounts provide just a glimpse into the Inquisition's impact on individuals and groups, they represent a legacy of fear and suppression that resonated through homes across the Iberian Peninsula. The fate of these people and the scars left upon entire communities remind us now of the importance of tolerance and the dangers of allowing fear to drive policy. The economic ripples from the Spanish Inquisition extended well beyond its immediate religious context. Commerce took a significant hit, as trade was often stifled due to the stringent regulations and property confiscations. Merchants, particularly those of Jewish and Muslim heritage, found their assets seized and their businesses shuttered. This property confiscation was not merely punitive, but served as a financial backbone for the Inquisition itself, funding the institution and lining the pockets of its officials. Beyond the tangible economic repercussions, the cultural landscape of Spain suffered under a shadow of censorship. The Inquisition's index of prohibited books was a formidable tool, squelching intellectual freedom and pushing academics into self-censorship to avoid persecution. This fear of retribution created an environment that was anathema to the spirit of inquiry, affecting the wider socio-cultural development of the nation for generations. Lastly, the influence of the Spanish Inquisition in sculpting a unified Spanish identity cannot be understated. Through forced conversions and a campaign to enforce Catholic orthodoxy, the Inquisition aimed to homogenize spiritual beliefs across the kingdom. This drive for religious conformity was a double-edged sword that unified the populace under one faith while also sowing seeds of division against those who resisted or fell victim to the Inquisition's grasp. The legacy of such an institution remains a poignant aspect of Spain's historical narrative. As the tides of time marched on, the once feared Spanish Inquisition found itself grappling with the currents of change. The institution, in its relentless pursuit of heretics, had cast a dark shadow over Spain for centuries, but by the late 18th century, its influence began to wane. The Age of Enlightenment brought with it new ideas, prioritizing reason over religious fervor and casting doubt on the Inquisition's draconian methods. This intellectual movement signaled a gradual shift in societal values, contributing to the Inquisition's eventual demise. In 1808, Napoleon's invasion of Spain further destabilized the Inquisition's authority. The French occupation introduced liberal ideas, which fanned the flames of dissent against the tribunal. When Ferdinand VII was restored to the throne in 1814, he initially reinstated the Inquisition to solidify his rule. However, the push for liberalism could not be held back indefinitely. In 1820, a 3-year period of constitutional government, known as the Trienio Liberal, led to the Inquisition's suspension, although it was brief. With Ferdinand VII's death in 1834 came the definitive abolishment of the Inquisition, penned by his regent Maria Cristina de Bourbon, signaling the end of an era that had profoundly shaped the fabric of Spanish society. Over time, perceptions of the Spanish Inquisition have fluctuated wildly. In its immediate aftermath, the Inquisition was often remembered with a sense of relief, as a gruesome chapter closed in the annals of history. Scholars debated its role and significance, with some 19th-century historians even attempting to downplay its brutality. Yet, in the modern era, the Inquisition is often held as a symbol of repression and intolerance. Books, films, and academic discourse paint an image of an institution synonymous with fear and persecution, which has left an indelible mark on public consciousness. The legacy of the Spanish Inquisition continues to reverberate through Spain and beyond. It is a complex tapestry of historical narratives that has become an integral part of Spain's national story. Today, the Inquisition's legacy is evident in the debate over religious and cultural identity, in the emphasis on human rights, and in the collective memory of communities that were once its targets. Its dark history serves as a cautionary tale against the dangers of unbridled power and the violation of individual liberties. As we piece together the scattered fragments of the past, the story of the Spanish Inquisition remains a powerful reminder of the need for vigilance against the forces of intolerance and oppression in our world. As we bring our exploration of Section 6 to a close, the Spanish Inquisition's profound impact on history is undeniable. It shaped not only the society it directly influenced, but also the broader world through the cautionary lessons it imparts. Its legacy is one of contrast, a stark reminder of humanity's capacity for both great faith and great cruelty. By examining the fall, perception, and after-effects of the Inquisition, we preserve the echoes of the past, ensuring their resonance in the conversations of the future. As we reach the end of our exploration, it's time to reflect on the formidable journey we've taken today through the dark corridors of history, examining the Spanish Inquisition. Our discourse traveled from the birth of this powerful institution under the reign of Ferdinand II and Isabella I, delving deep into its political, religious, and social underpinnings. We scrutinized the motivations behind its formation, emerging from a tapestry woven with threads of fear, power, and zeal for religious conformity. We navigated the intricate inquisitorial processes, from secret informants to the chilling index of prohibited books. We spoke of tribunals, inevitable torture, and the dreaded auto da fe. The imagery of these practices provided us with a vivid pictorial of the era's harrowing realities. Furthermore, we didn't shy away from the stark human cost, illustrating the impact on Jewish and Muslim communities, the personal tribulations, as well as the stories of prominent individuals who withstood trials of faith and conviction under the Inquisition's scrutinizing gaze. Delving into the socioeconomic consequences, we assessed the Inquisition's toll on commerce, intellectual freedom, and its indelible mark on Spanish identity. We contemplated the gradual decline of this institution and how, centuries later, it is perceived forming an integral piece of Spain's historical puzzle. Finally, we ponder the Inquisition's enduring legacy. This ceaseless reflection serves as a beacon, illuminating the repercussions, reverberating through to contemporary times, of such autocratic dominance over belief and expression. Why do you think it's crucial to keep these memories alive? How do events like the Spanish Inquisition shape our understanding of freedom and human rights today? What can they teach us about the balance of power, faith, and tolerance in our modern society? We encourage you to mull over these questions and seek out further enlightenment on this profound chapter of history. Our journey may conclude here, but the dialogue it inspires should transcend this episode. History, with its myriad layers, continues to be a mirror reflecting our present and a map guiding us towards the future. It's this continuous conversation that ensures we remain conscious of our collective humanity, learning from the triumphs and the trials of those who walked before us. Until we turn the page to the next chapter, keep this spirit of inquiry alive and well. Thank you for tuning in to the Daily History Podcast. If you've enjoyed our journey into the grim recesses of the Spanish Inquisition, be sure to subscribe and share your thoughts below. What piece of history do you think deserves the spotlight in our next episode? Leave your suggestions in the comments, and the idea with the most likes will be considered for an upcoming show. We appreciate your engagement and look forward to delving into more historical tales with you. Until next time, keep history alive in your hearts and minds. Goodbye.